Okay, I want to welcome Daniel, who's going to be speaking today about Heisey's twist pattern, and you can take it away, Daniel.
All right. Heisey Twist is officially called number 1252 by the Heisey Company. Uh, it was given the name Twist by one of the researchers. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about Twist because I recently started collecting it. And I wanted to kind of do a deep dive into the pattern because it is a big pattern. It has 73 to 74 pieces. So obviously, as we get a little older and we downsize a little more, I don't want all 74 pieces. So I wanted to figure out which ones that I was really interested in and learn a little bit more about it. Okay, hold on one second. I'm trying to change my can't seem to figure out how to change my slide here. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, giving you a little introduction, here's my Heisey. I dug out some of it and did a little Christmas arrangement in the kitchen. Okay, so like I said, Twist is had been given the name 1252. There will also be a few pieces that were made later. They tweaked the pattern. It was done in a pretty radical style, an Art Deco style, and they found that didn't appeal to some of the customers, so they did another couple of pieces. So there's a 1252 and a half, and there's a 1253. So we're going to talk about a little bit about A.H. Heisey and Company and the history, the pattern itself, the pattern history. We're going to look at a couple of the patents, look at the different colors. If you're not familiar with the Heisey colors, they have some unusual colors, and we're going to look at the pattern pieces and some of the advertising. So let's go here. So, A.H. Heisey and Company is a glass company that is in Newark, Ohio. And I'm going to show you a map of where that is here just in a minute. They began building the factory in 1895, began producing glass in 1896 in earnest. They say that there are some pieces that were produced in 1895, and it continued on until they left for Christmas break in 1957 and never returned. A.H. Heisey is the founder of Heisey Glass. His name is I think Augustus Henry Heisey. He was born in Hanover, Germany in 1842, and a year later, his parents immigrated to the U.S. in Pennsylvania. After he got out of the Union Army in the Civil War, he worked for glass companies as a clerk and later as a very successful salesperson. And then he went to a glass company called the Ripley Glass Company, and it was owned by George Duncan. You've heard of Duncan Glass. And while he was there, he met and married George Duncan's daughter, Susan. And after George Duncan died, Susan had inherited a fourth of the company. They bought another fourth of the company. So they owned half of that company, and her brother owned the other half. And then they sold it to US Glass. And he stayed on for a while, but he started searching for his own factory. He wanted his own glass factory. And when he settled on Newark, Ohio, he found that they had a railroad. The railroad went right out in front of where he built the factory. They had a natural glass and silica sand deposits, and they had a ready workforce. At that time, the Industrial Revolution had taken complete hold, and a lot of the farm workers had been being displaced into factory work by losing their positions on the farms. So there were a lot of locals that he could employ. So as I said, he began the construction of the factory in 1895, opened in 1896, and it closed in December 1957. Heisey produced fine quality glass tableware and decorative glass figurines. Both pressed and blown glassware were made. They also made automobile headlights, which I find really fascinating. And you see those sometimes. They sell, like one headlight will sell for about 400 US dollars. When we toured the Indiana Glass Factory last year on vacation, they also had made headlamps for cars. I think that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I guess I always think of them being in, just tableware, but they made some other things to supplement their lines. Um, they also made Hall of Fame glassware lighting fixtures, and those are the fixtures that were in the old time schools. Like there were a bunch of schools in the U.S. built around 1900. I went to one, and then they had like the little glass globes that they would have on their ceiling lamps. Um, let's see. Oh, when the factory closed in 1957, the Imperial Glass Company bought the existing molds and they started reproducing it into with the Heisey molds. They even some of the early ones even had the Heisey trademark on them, and they reproduced those pieces until that factory closed in 1984. Heisey Collectors of America, of which I am a member, was formed in 1971 to continue the legacy of Heisey Glass and make sure it's not forgotten. There are many, many glass collectors and like many of the other glass collecting groups. They're all over the country. And in 1974, the Heisey Glass Collectors of America founded the National Heisey Glass Museum, which is in a beautiful old house in Newark. And in 1984, they purchased most of the molds owned by Imperial. And those are all still extant and housed in the Heisey Glass Museum. I think it's the largest collection of glass molds uh, owned in America. So I put a little blurb down here. If you are interested in the Heisey Glass Collectors of America, it's an interesting group. That the depth of knowledge of these people is really astounding. Many of them are relatives of the people that write the Heisey books and that have worked in the factories, and so they have a deep interest and are really super knowledgeable. So here are the Heiseys. First of all, I want to talk about where Newark is. I'm from Indiana, right by the Ohio border. I think it's 9 miles where I'm from to Ohio, but I didn't know where, I mean, Ohio's a big state, so I didn't know where Licking County, Ohio was, but it's 40 miles east of Columbus. It's kind of right in the middle. And we talked a little bit about Augustus Henry A.H. Heisey. Um, he really enjoyed and was proud of the clear glass that they produced. It had a very distinct shine. And when he was running Heisey, they had a lot of Victorian lines that had replaced and made cheaper the cut glass of the period. It looked like the cut glass, but it was pressed, but it was a very good quality, so it shined a lot and looked sharp like the cut glass. That then they went from the Victorian lines, which were like the cut glass, to the colonial era, which were plain designs, flutes, scallops, panels. They did a lot of soda shop ware that were used in the soda shops, which were popular at the time, like lots of candy dishes and tumblers and straw jars and crushed fruit jars. In the late teens, they began to use blown bowls with pressed stems, and these are very, very delicate and beautiful, very elegant. They started etching the designs on them. They started doing cuttings. Optics were introduced, and I don't know if you are familiar with optics, but it's um, when the glass is put into, the original mold, and they make that, and then they put it in a separate mold and give it a design on the glass. I don't know if I have any examples today for you, but it's I guess look it up. uh, After the death of A.H. Heisey in 1922, his son Edgar Wilson, or E. Wilson Heisey, took over. And E. Wilson Heisey had a background in chemistry, and he introduced the second color era. There had been some colors before under A.H. Heisey, like Ivorina Verde and Opal, Emerald, some of the older colors. But E. Wilson Heisey, he ushered in the new color era, and that's what we know today. When you look at Heisey Glass, you see the Flamingo, you see Sahara, you see Moongleam, you see Hawthorne, Alexandrite. All of those colors were developed under E. Wilson Heisey. He was kind of always, out on the floor and in his overalls and worked with the people, hands-on. Um, when he died in 1942, the color era kind of died with him. And then the company was taken over by his brother, Thomas Clarence Heisey, T. Clarence Heisey. And T. Clarence was more of a businessman. He's more into the numbers side of the business. Uh, he had some, rough times, during the war. They were going through the war, and there were, restrictions on materials and things like that. But he kept it going, and he was the president of Heisey until it closed in 1957. Okay, so Heisey produced twist from about 1928 to about 1937. Varying sources tell you different things, but I think that's solidly in the era that it was produced. I think you can, pretty much go by those dates. Here's a little collection of some Heisey that I have. If you'll notice this piece on the left in the back, it looks like a triangular shape. That's the 1253 piece. It's a mint dish. It comes with a lid. I don't have the lid, but I will get the lid. And it's a very beautiful little piece and very handy to have. Twist was produced in the vogue of today, which meant that it was in the Art Deco architectural style. There are stepped pyramids in the design, which you'll see. There are stepped finials in a few of the pieces. There are twists, but the twists are actually straight lines because curves were um, not used in the Art Deco designs. Uh, there are some zigzag handles after the architectural style popular in the day called zigzag moderne. It was a sub-style of architectural Art Deco that inspired the zigzag or lightning bolt handles that you're going to see in Twist. Twist was introduced at the Heisey sales offices in January 1929 and first advertised in March 1929 in Good Housekeeping and Vogue. Heisey was one of the first glass manufacturers to really do a lot of advertising to the public using magazines and ads. Um, like I say, it was produced there. I think I have different dates, but go by my original dates. The 4-inch Snappy remained in production into the 1950s and can be found in the color Dawn, which is like a gray color. And it was also made by Crystal by Imperial in two shapes with different flared edges. The name given to the pattern by the company is 1252, like we talked about, but it's usually called by the name given by Clarence Vogel, an early researcher in Heisey Glass. Some collectors call it Oceanic, but Heisey applied that name to a different pattern. One of the first patterns considered sets. It included a dinner plate, a cup, and a saucer. Before that, a lot of the glass patterns were merely serving pieces made to complement people's china patterns. So this was a complete pattern all on its own. I think it was one of the first three or four that Heisey made in complete sets. Colors and a trend toward more informal entertaining made it very popular. And it's the only plate pattern for which a patent was applied. A new line was developed prior to the granting of the patent. It followed Art Deco design with use of zigzag handles, geometric features like step bases and finials, and stacked pyramids. Lines that divide the bands are straight and follow the contour of the piece, giving the illusion of curves without violating the Art Deco rejection of them. Like I said, there's 73 or 74 pattern pieces, and each piece may have from 8 to 24 spirals or twists. The displacement of the spirals is always less than 45 degrees and usually much less. Some pieces feature open handles that come to a point, and most pieces are marked with a Diamond H trademark. Not all of them. So you'll usually see the Diamond H, and it can be in a couple of pieces, I think, on these patterns. Mostly it's in the middle on the bottom of a piece, but trying to think if I think some might be on the handles. I'm not sure. Patents. One thing that's great about the Heisey Collectors of America is they have such a repository of all of the papers and plans and photographs. Like I said, the molds. Uh, and it's all accessible to members. And you're able to use it if you credit them properly. And it's really interesting to go in there and take a look at all their stuff that they have. The plate over here, these two pictures of the plate were filed the 10th of September 1928 and granted the patent in 1929 in November. The floral bowl on the right was filed the 1st of May 1929 and granted the 29th of October 1929. Incidentally, the 29th of October 1929 in America was Black Tuesday. The stock market had crashed just a few days earlier, and Black Tuesday was when most of the stocks were sold off. So America started this pattern right when they were going into the Depression. I asked in my Heisey group how that impacted uh, Heisey's production, and they said that it did impact it, but their production was more impacted by the war. They had kind of, I guess, they early tweaked their strategies and things. So, but it's this is a time that you wouldn't necessarily have a lot of money to buy new sets of glassware, particularly when some of the other Depression glassware was being given away free in dish soap and things like that. In 1931, they put out a little brochure called Little Journeys in Glassland. And if you notice here on the photo, it has the oval Heisey ice tub in twist in the color Sahara, which is their yellow color. And it says memorable tables become an easy achievement with such lovely colors. Picture in your mind the delightful effect of flamingo, the rose of tropical plumage, or Sahara, the gold of African sands, or moongleam, and you can see here moongleam is two words, the green of the sea by moonlight, or alexandrite, the purple of emperors. Here are the Heisey colors, and like I said, Twist was produced in the middle of Heisey's second color era. There's Moongleam Green, which is the one that I collect, and it is the third most popular color. Flamingo Pink. There are 62 items of Twist in pink. Most of them, all of them, I think, are in green, but most of them are in pink. There's a color called Marigold, and Marigold was produced and became very popular, and a lot of the restaurants bought Twist, complete, sets of Twist in Marigold. But as we'll discover in a minute, Marigold had a lot of production problems and very little was made. It was only made for a couple of years. It would spark when they produced it, and then later it would develop something called sugaring, which would affect the clarity of the glass. And Heisey was, of course, known for the clarity of their glass. It was made in crystal. Like all depression glass patterns, crystal can be the hardest to find, but not that many people collect it. Sahara yellow is very beautiful, and there are 20 items in Twist in Sahara. Alexandrite is uh, their purple color, and 3 or 4 items in Twist, including the ice tub and the bowl. I think it's the floor, yeah, the florable, I think, are made in Alexandrite. Perhaps it's the nasturtium bowl, I can't remember. But hawthorn is another color. It was kind of like a brownish lavender color. And I put it on here. 2 of the sources that I researched said that Twist was made in hawthorn. I've never seen it, and the couple of sources that I really trust did not mention it being made in hawthorn. So I can't verify that it was made in hawthorn, but if it was, then here's a look at hawthorn. Plates are known to be made in tangerine, which is a color that was a struck color. It was made first and came out kind of like the marigold color, and then they put it back in the glory hole and heated it up, and it became this orange reddish color. Some pieces are also found in gold, which is a seldom found color, and it looks just like marigold, except it glows under black light. I will say that after marigold didn't work out so well, then they went to the Sahara yellow. So Sahara um, was a replacement for the marigold color. All right, here, let's talk about this marigold sugaring effect, and you can see it. So it's basically a surface fracture, or what we call crazing. A lot of us know the term crazing if you collect glass. And this causes a sugaring effect after a while. And the sugaring occurs on the inside of the glass piece, not the outside. Like you may have a bottle and you can see where it's looks like it's all over the place, but when you touch the outside is smooth, so you don't have it. And Walter Ludwig, who wrote a very comprehensive article in Heisey News in 2000, said, unfortunately, marigold with uranium as one of its component chemicals proved not to be a stable glass formula. Over time, many pieces have taken on a sugary appearance. So a lot of people love marigold, and then a lot of people stay away from it. let's talk about the pattern pieces. And I won't go into this in great detail, although when you see my slides, you might think that I'm going to. Uh, First of all, though, let's talk about what a ground bottom is. Now, a lot of times when you're in these glass groups, they start talking about terms that they are very familiar with, and then you're looking at it like, what? It took me a really long time to figure out what a ground bottom is. Now that I know, uh, it is, one of the easiest things to look at and identify that you can imagine, but I didn't know what it was for a while, so I put it in here. It's this little rim there. This is the bottom of a tumbler. And Heisey used fire polishing, which means that they heated up the glass to melt the surface layer by putting it into a glory hole of, the fire. And that smoothed the sharp edges and made the glass shine by eliminating microscopic roughness. Then they took it and they ground and repolished the bottoms of it. And that was a hallmark of their Heisey quality. So most of the pieces, unless it says something like flat, uh, will have the ground bottoms. And it's just gives it a much more substantial feel and it's just much more indicative of quality, I think, than a lot of things you find in depression glass. Here is a Tabletop was a newsletter or a publication that they gave to their sales force to give to customers. And this one is from 1929 and shows you the new line and how it's going to increase their sales. And this is a very comprehensive look at the line. And I always like these um, drawings as opposed to photos of glass because it's so notoriously hard to photograph glass. You can really see the lines on it here. Okay, plates and platters. Uh, this pattern has a lot of plates. And I kind of, as a collector and somebody who doesn't necessarily want 50 plates in my cabinets, I kind of wonder why they made so many. I mean, there's a 4.5, a 6, a 7 inch, 8, 9, 10.5, 12. Uh, I would think, usually it's like a saucer and some underplates and maybe uh, a dessert plate. You could have a salad plate, a dinner plate, but this pattern really has a lot of them. So then it has the oval in two different shapes of the platter, and it has a couple of cheese plates, including this very fascinating uh, Kraft cheese plate. And the Kraft cheese plate is sort of a big round plate, looks like an oversized dinner plate. I think it's 12, is it 12 inches? No, it's 8 inches. And it has a rectangle to hold the cheese in a raised center area. And I've never seen one in person, but I'd love to see if I can find one. It has a couple of bonbons, which are great little serving pieces. It has a 4 inch and a 6 inch. It has a utility service plate, which has 4 feet and I think makes a it. I think they made it to put meat on. It stands up from the table a little bit. There's a sandwich plate, a muffin plate, which has the cute little turn sides with the pointy handles. There's the cream soup and the or a bouillon uh, bowl and plate. The plate though is the liner that goes under it, and it's different than the other plates. And it comes with a little 3 inch center in the middle to put the bowl. And then there's the saucer for the cup. And a few plates in 6 inches have been found in the tangerine color. The bowls in Twist, there are some nappies which I've shown from my collection here. You can see that one on the top is in the Flamingo color, which is their pink color. The bottom is in Moongleam, the green color. They have a mint uh, bowl, a little jelly bowl that has a liner, a plate liner with it. There's an oval baker, and the oval baker was produced later. It was introduced because the customers were asking for a serving bowl. The individual nut bowl that you could put at each place setting. There's a footed almond bowl, and that has handles like the octagon pattern, another of Heisey's patterns. And it's the same as the individual sugar mold. The cream soup, the bouillon, has zigzag handles, which are fantastic. And when you see them, they're just so uh, interesting looking. Has a low-footed bowl, and then it has, like I showed you before, the 1253 three-cornered mint with covers. They call it the tri-corner bowl. Here I'm showing the individual sugar, which is the same as the footed almond from my collection, and then the individual nut bowl. And these are really small. They're really cute. I just bought four of them. This shows you some of the interesting pieces. If you see the utility plate there at the bottom left, that's the utility plate with the little feet that you can use to serve meat on. And then in the middle, there's that craft cheese plate that you can find. They also came in with a lot of the floral bowls in the pattern, and I'm really dying to have this nasturtium bowl that I'm picturing here. It was sold as a console set with the number 129 tricorn candlesticks. I don't have a picture of those, but you can see all the different floral bowls. They have the flared ones, they have rolled edge ones, they have ovals and rounds, and the nasturtium came in oval and round. They really appeal to me. However, they're big. They're like 12 inches, and then those sides, really push it out. So I think if you had a lot of room to collect glass, well, I don't, particularly living in California. So one will probably do me. So I'm looking out for that nasturtium bowl. Tumblers and stems. I think this is the most interesting part of the twist pattern. They're just beautiful. As you can see here now, what I was talking about before, they have the stepped feet. They have the pyramids in the middle. These are very, very hard to find, and they were discontinued after the 1933 price list, except the grapefruit. There were a lot of them in this pattern, and I recently was offered three of them and decided to be crazy and haggle with the price and probably lost them. But now I know, and I even read it in one of the articles I read, that when you see these things, you buy them because they are very, very hard to find. I'm sure a lot of them were broken, and also they're in collections. So I have two of the tumblers, the 8-ounce tumblers, and that's all I have so far. But the next time I see them, I'm not going to be so silly and I'm going to buy them. This is something that you can refer to later. I wanted to put a comprehensive list of the goblets and all of the stemware and all of the tumblers because I mean I think you're going to recognize them, but it's sometimes really hard to tell the difference between the two pieces if you don't know the sizes. So here's just a little spreadsheet that I worked up, and also you can see that it indicates how hard it is to find. And then it indicates that some were found in the gold color, some were found in Sahara. These, will pop up at auctions. So, like all depression glass, uh, we're always learning new things about it. So, the one piece, the grapefruit, was the only stem with a round base, and it wasn't marked. And I think after they stopped uh, producing the tumblers and the stems, the grapefruit continued on for a little while. I guess it was a useful piece. Creamers and sugars, and here you begin to see the uh, lightning bolt handles, the zigzag handles, as they're, I guess, officially called. This pattern has an unusual number, I think, of creamers and sugars, and probably because it was sold to restaurants, it was sold to soda shops. So there's the hotel, which has like loopy handles. There's the footed one with the zigzag handles. There's a stylized one, which, as I talked about earlier and showed a picture of the individual almond. That's the stylized handles. They use that mold also for the individual creamers and sugars. And then there's one creamer and sugar that's known that is this one in the middle at the top, and it's a sugar with a cover. And those are, of course, extremely hard to find. You can see the little zigzag handles on the cream soup up there too. And so uh, I think the zigzag handle is just, I want everything in the zigzag handle because I think it's really interesting. The cups, the one on the left is one of my cups. It has the zigzag handle. And then you can see here and it has the ground bottom and everything. But then there was also, I referred to the 1252 and a half, and it's the 1252 and a half cup variant. And this has a plain top with a rounded handle and the rim at the top, and it's known in Flamingo, Moongleam, Crystal, and it's extremely difficult to find. This is the only picture I've ever seen of it, of someone actually having one in their collection. There is a picture of the original Heisey catalog with it. I don't know when and where or why that was manufactured. There are a few bottles, which are just completely charming. There's a French dressing bottle at 7.5 inches tall, has a unique stopper. There's an oil, which I have one of the oils. There's mine pictured. There's a 2.5 and a 4 ounce. The little stopper at the top is one of the finials that has the stepped finial in the Art Deco style. And it's called the number 78 stopper by Heisey. There are different trays. There's a pickle tray that's 7.5 or 7 inches. There are several celery trays. There's one celery tray with 3 compartments. And then there's a pickle olive tray, which you'll see every once in a while in Moongleam. I've never seen it well, I guess I've seen it. I thought I saw it in Sahara one time, but this one, by the researcher that I took some of this information from, he had done an article in the Heisey newsletter, and it has one side Flamingo and one side Moongleam. I use a lot of those pieces when we entertain because they're great for hors d'oeuvres and just little snacks and things like that. Miscellaneous pieces is this beautiful tall comport, or yeah, comport. There's a mustard jar. It has the little stepped finial. There are different shaker styles. There's the flat, small flat, which is the usual one that you find with the number 57 top that they manufactured. There's a larger one that you don't see very often. And then there's the footed one, highly desirable with a flat plastic top. There are mayonnaise. The mayonnaise that they have with the stepped bottom foot uh, was a little radical, they felt. So they took the octagon pattern mayo and they added swirls to it, and it has a round bottom. So they introduced that. There's the beautiful ice bucket or ice tub with the silver-plated handle and tongs. There's the jug, which we saw earlier. And then the number 74 piece that I did not include any pictures of, but you do see it in Jean Florence's Depression Glass books and in other books. It's a cocktail shaker with a metal top. And it is, I've not seen too much about that. The people that wrote the detailed articles about this pattern, I didn't see it in there. So I don't know what to think of it. I'm going to be doing more research just for my own personal edification, but it is very sought after and very expensive, of course. I think I've only seen it in the Moongleam green color. Here are some of the Heisey ads. You can see on the left that this, if you look close, it's in the Moongleam green color. You can see some plates. The middle one has a plate and a nasturtium bowl. And then the one on the right has that beautiful ice tub in marigold and also some of the stems in the marigold color. I think these are all from 1929. So as a summary, here's a little picture of some of the glass that I have. The pattern, commonly called twist, remains a highly desirable pattern among elegant depression glass collectors. Pieces may be found in several of the colors made popular during Heisey's second color era, including marigold, which had a short run duration. Although a few pattern pieces are difficult to find, a tablescape can be put together with some time and patience. And then if you'd like to refer to any of my sources, I am a big believer in sourcing. So you can go back and look at it and do some research yourself. So here's all the sourcing from the Heisey newsletters and things. And then also a little bibliography of some books that I researched in my presentation. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I really, really enjoyed that. I really appreciated the detail, even down to your Art Deco template for the slideshow. Really like that.
Thanks.
I will open things up to see if there are any questions. And I want to welcome Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello.
Shout out to Kevin, incidentally, because I got a lot of my twist from Kevin.
Well,
Nice.
I have a lot more.
Yeah. Okay.
So what would you say is the hardest piece of twist to find?
Oh, those
Besides the candlestick, that is the stem candlestick, not the one that's got the mushroom top.
yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't know. I guess just for normal collectors, I think it's that nasturtium bowl. It's, you don't see it in really good shape. A lot of times you see it with chipped feet. So that's a little difficult. I mean, I don't think I'm going to go for any of the super rare pieces. But if I were, one of the pieces I think that would be very hard to find in good condition would be those cream soups. And I have cream soups in almost every depression glass pattern that I own. So I would like to get those, but I think you'd have to buy those at a show because those little zigzag handles, probably chip a lot.
They're out there. I've seen them once at a show, but it wasn't a depression glass show. It was just a general antique show. But the guy wanted an outrageous price for them. So it's like, they can stay there and I'll admire them, from a distance. Yeah. So.
I was just reflecting
added
on
more pieces.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just wondering if he's added more pieces to his collection since the last time that I saw it.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll come across one. I'm really picky. I think the older you get, you just don't buy everything you see. Like in my earlier days, I would just, I saw, no, I'm just in love with that and I'm going to buy it.
Right,
And
right.
I don't do that anymore.
You mean you're not like my other half that says there's always room for one more, even if
No,
you have to leave it on the dining room table? No.
no.
I was going to ask about the plates. You were commenting on how they have so many sizes of plates. Yeah, I'm curious about that as well. The other I collect a lot of modern tone, and I find they also have a lot of strange sizes of plates, and I'm always curious about why. Like every 6-inch, 7-inch,
Because
9-inch.
almost every piece had an underplate.
Yeah.
There's a little
Yeah.
4-inch plate for the mustard. There's a 5-inch plate for the sherbets. There's a 6-inch plate for bread and butter. There's 7-inch plate for dessert. 8-inch plate for a salad. I mean, I don't know if they made a 9-inch plate or not, though. I know they made a 10.5-inch dinner plate.
I think that's kind of weird because I mean I understand it, but who has that much room on their table? I mean, even if you're doing it in a buffet style, when you stick an underplate under something, it's great because it doesn't get on your tablecloth, but it also takes an awful lot more room on your table. And even if you had a big
Right.
old dining room table,
But
you don't have room at your place setting for all these different plates.
that's why you do it as courses and you bring it out, take it away, bring it out, take it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, you're muted, Phyllis.
Sorry, I was going to say about the same thing as Kevin. You have your maid or whoever, to come in and take off what you're finished with. And I think that's a holdover from the Victorian age. When I see these huge patterns and with all of these different things, I think the Victorians, of course, they had to have a different plate or a different spoon or a different glass, whatever, for every little thing that they were going to eat. So you didn't, you had your fish plate. You didn't put fish and I don't know, potatoes on the same plate, that kind of thing. So I think that's very fascinating how that we have gone from sort of one extreme to the other. And
because now
sort of
everybody has to wash their own dishes. Back then,
Well,
they had other people to wash their dishes, so it didn't
that's
matter
true.
how many you could dirty. You know what I mean?
Well,
When the
yeah.
dishwasher gets full, you have to do something. So
I guess, yeah, in the Victorian era, it was all about opulence. So you also had lots of cabinets to store all of your possessions, and you
right,
advertise.
Right. Yeah, you had just a
Yeah.
room that was the dish room.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There was the side pantry and stuff for storage.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Yeah,
very
Not
interesting.
everybody lives in a 17-room house.
I really liked the muffin plate. Do you have a muffin plate? You
I
do.
do. Yeah.
Great.
And I don't know that I've actually put a muffin on it, but I did use it in our buffet style parties because it's just great. It's like you can put little sandwiches on it and little candies and cakes and all kinds of stuff. These pieces are great for buffets.
Yeah, when you described I saw the picture, I was thinking of I collect a little bit of Mount Pleasant, and there's a little tiny, it's a small one, and so when I saw the first picture, I was like, oh, that must be like. But then you said it was 8 inches, and I'm like, oh, that would be actually quite useful.
Yeah. Even the small ones, like those little tiny nut cups and stuff, you can stick some nuts in it and put them in various places in your house for when your guests, are roaming around. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
This is the
We
time of
use
year
our
that I always
little-
use my glass because it's great for the holiday stuff.
Yeah. We use our little bonbons for like celery and just have it sitting off in the corner on the table while everybody's munching on. They're great for appetizers. You don't want a lot on there, and if they're gone, well then that's good because you don't have to have them. But I've got quite a few. pieces of twist that I've acquired over the course of years. And almost all the colors.
Mm.
I think, well, I have it in all the colors. I just didn't dig it all out because there's too much of it in too many different cabinets.
Are there any other questions, or we could move on to show and tell? If people have show and tell, anything they want to share. Anyone have show and tell? No.
Oh yeah, I have one piece of show and tell.
Okay.
I forgot about it. I dug this out. This is a Heisey jug in Greek key. It's one of their early patterns. This thing is heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, really heavy. I bought it at a estate sale, realized that there was a little chip out of it here. It doesn't affect it, but I use it for a vase. So I'll put flowers in it. So
It looks very heavy. Just wow.
Most of the bigger pieces of Greek key are extremely heavy. I mean, the maids of back then, they must have had biceps the size of Popeyes, because it's like some of those pictures are just astronomically. It's like I can lift them up when they're empty. I just can't imagine putting liquid inside of them and walking around.
well, and the other thing for us modern collectors is I don't necessarily want a 5-pound piece of glass next to all my other glass, and I have my glass all up against each other. So I don't want to clonk it on some little piece of depression glass and knock a hole out of it. So
or encourage shelves to fall, or things like bad things that could happen with heavy glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I had suggested for show and tell pieces of twist, spiral, or swirl patterns. So I brought. This is the pattern that sometimes is called Canadian swirl. It's a Dominion glass pattern, and this is probably my favorite piece. It's the butter dish. It's quite a large butter dish. It looks like that in the center.
That's actually pretty.
Sadly, it only ever came in clear, but and then I like the lid is quite nice with a.
Yeah,
that almost looks like Pastoria's colony pattern.
It does. It does. I wonder if it was kind of their borrowing, because it came out. The best date we have for it is 1947, and then into the early 60s.
And that would be about the same period that the Pastoria colony was made.
Yeah.
The only difference is the butter dish in the colony doesn't have that spiral or the ribbed knob. It has a solid knob, or it's actually, I don't know if it comes in a round. I think it's only in the quarter-pound stick.
That would make sense, because things were moving in that direction.
The 40s and 50s up to the 80s, they made that. So, I mean, round butter dishes maybe were out of fashion by the time that the colony pattern came into existence.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm guessing this one might have been more popular in the rural parts of Canada, where they were making their own butter still, possibly at that time. But yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's kind of fun.
Anything else people want to share? Any other new glass finds or anything? Oh,
I got the twist mustard.
Oh yeah, a little mustard.
You can see it all that well, but it's
cute.
Actually, kind of nice. It's two pieces. Got the little slot in the top for the spoon. Now I love the stepped up knob on all twist. Twist has been my favorite pattern for a long time. Then again, I like all patterns of glass. I got the clear tri-cornered candy dish, but then you can't see it probably, but it's got a beautiful, I don't know if you can see the pudding on it or not. I like it. It's from the 8 inches of snow. It's snowing outside, so I couldn't get this out on the deck where I wanted to get nice lighting. And then there's also the tri-corner I have in pink, but I also have the lid, which is very hard to find. You find the bottom piece, which you wouldn't think this is twist because there's no twist to it whatsoever. But it's interesting how Heisey threw in weird pieces to their pattern. And there again, it has the stepped up little knob on the top, which is really kind of neat. I do have the picture.
Oh, yeah.
But it's kind of nice. I have the picture and switch glasses in clear, but can't find glasses. I can't find black tumblers to match this one. But that doesn't mean they're not out there. I just don't really look for it, but if I run across it, I run across it. Then there's the footed mayonnaise that you were talking about is the octagon shape, but they added the twist to it. It does have the round foot. You know, I'd like to find one that has the stepped up foot in there, but that's probably next to impossible in my little world. I have a 5-inch handled twist plate, which I don't know what the handles were for. There's a 6-inch salad plate. No, maybe bread and butter. Yeah. I also have platters. But here's my pride and joy. This is the ice bucket.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you just see the cutting on it or not, but the cutting is absolutely fantastic. And nobody knows who made this cutting, but it only shows up on Twist. I mean, you know, but I've asked the museum, Heisey Museum.
Sorry, what is the etching on it? Can you tell?
It's just
Flowers?
Like wheat stems, and then there's flowers, but it's every other. There's 2 flowers that are the same, and then there's like a rose or maybe a daisy that's cut in there all the way around. Let's see if I can get a better shot.
It's very pretty. Very pretty. Yeah. Thank you.
I gotta know how to do. Does that show up in there?
Oh, there you can see it.
Okay. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I love the shape.
Oh,
The Google shape is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. So, all my friends are gonna say, you know, you didn't have this in the corner of the dining room on top of the bar. And if it was anywhere else in the house, it would disappear. And it's like, well, you know,
Well, your microphone's cutting off a bit, Kevin.
I have all the sizes of the dinner of the bed.
That's the 10.5. That's hard to find.
Yeah, I've got the 10.5. 8. Like I said, I don't have that. But then I do have a nice big floral bowl in Sahara yellow.
It's the yellow floral bowl.
The little bonbons. I don't have the big bonbon though. I didn't know they made one in the big bonbon. So that's kind of interesting.
More things to find.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it finds me. I don't find it. You know.
Oh yeah, that's how it happens sometimes.
Yeah, I have friends that'll call me up and says, "Oh, I found this piece. Do you want it?" And it's like, well, if the price is right, you know, because they know that I collect twists. I didn't realize that I have probably 5 or 6 of the tri-cornered candy dishes
Hmm.
because we have 2 that are out that's always got candy in it, and then this was in a soda box. So it's like, oh, okay. I don't remember getting the clear one with the etching, but and then that's what happens when you're a glass collector, I guess. Yeah.
The one I had, I bought with somebody had painted it. I don't know if it was Heisey,
Oh
they had
yeah.
their own decorating department, but they had little flowers all over it, but I didn't like it, so I scraped it off. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
somebody in
Yeah. If
my
it's just
Heisey group
cold,
said they've never seen that before. But
right. But if it's been cold painted on there, yeah, I don't have a problem, and it's
I
starting to
think,
flake off. I don't have a problem with scraping it off. I mean, it's some things I just don't think we're meant to be that home project where the lady was bored on a Sunday afternoon after dinner and everybody's sleeping on the nap from the good meal. It's like, well, I'm just going to sit down and paint this. But I don't care much for the frosted painted pieces either, but they're usually, if you find those, the painting is so badly removed anyhow. It's like, I really wish you could get the frosting off of it because I've seen some beautiful pieces, but the frosting, they just doesn't do anything for me. It's real easy to pass it up.
Yeah, for me it depends on the piece. Like, yeah, a nice bowl with that's the satinized is okay, but yeah.
Right. I mean, I found a beautiful frosted lotus, probably 15-inch platter footed bowl. It really wasn't a bowl because it didn't have much of a shape. Must have been a footed platter. I mean, it's a beautiful piece, but it's just the frosting just said no. It's got to stay at the shelf, even though it was only $15. I probably should have bought it just because it's like, I like blue glass, but it's like, okay, where am I going to store or display another 15-inch tray?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I collect Ridgely and I collect Heisey Orchid, and both of those patterns have got some huge trays. So it's like all the spaces that I could put a tray are taken up, So I mean, I got a friend that loves orchid, and he keeps threatening to take one of the big orchid trays, and it's like, well, if it disappeared, I really wouldn't mind too much because then I'd display something else. He may get one for Christmas. Oh, that's all that I have. That's all that I brought out. I do like the flat tumblers, though. They are strangely unique, I mean, the footed tumblers are great, but the flat ones I think are very hard to find. And I was rather surprised to find that in crystal as a complete set, with the pitcher and 6 glasses. It was like, wow, this is pretty cool. It's like the time I wasn't going to collect clear, but that piece spoke to me, so that piece had to come home.
When I get more pieces, I think what I'm going to do is I have a whole setting or a whole, I don't know what you call it, a whole bunch of holiday Linux. Do you know that Linux
Okay.
pattern has the holly and the
Right.
I'm going to
Yeah.
use my twist with that. I'm going to put some
Yeah.
smaller plates use them with my Linux plates, and then do those green tumblers maybe as my water glasses. I think that would be really pretty.
That would be
I just don't have them.
very pretty. That would be very pretty. I got some of that Leonard's Holly Christmas dishes
Yeah,
that we used last year, but they got packed away.
those are my Christmas dishes.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate everybody letting me do my presentation. I learned a lot myself, and I feel empowered to finish up my little collection.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, thanks so
What
much.
I like about Heisey, go ahead. You cut off.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing all your research and your collection with us. Yeah, it's great. I don't have a piece of Heisey, but now I want to look, or a twist, and I want to find one.
I can mail you one.
All right,
I like Heisey because the documentation on all their patterns is just fantastic. I mean, they're probably one of the few companies out there that does have I won't say an unlimited source, but they were very good at keeping all their records. And if you've ever, or if you belong to the museum and you can get into the archives, I mean, some of that information is just fantastic. There's a lot of stuff in there that is, I'm not personally interested in it, but it's real interesting as far as, they made X amount of turns for this glass, I mean, and some of the numbers of glasses that they put out were just astronomical as far as quantity in a year that they put out, say like 300,000 pieces of a popular pattern, and you can't find it now, but that's here nor there, I guess.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to stop